Result today, the performance was irrelevant in many ways.
Yeah, the details of the performance were relevant, but some of the key principles that Jurgen Klopp talked about were not there against Napoli. You could see them starting to, they've been working on them this week and that they were much, much better. Their appetite, Thiago, I thought was excellent in midfield. The appetite to be able to press and put pressure on those midfield areas, make it harder for teams in possession. So elements of their performance were better. Ultimately, 3 points is the best thing.
Absolutely. 23 shots tonight to Ajax's 3 for Liverpool. Tells you the story of this one, doesn't it? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be on the touchscreen and we'll break down the good and the bad from this evening as far as Liverpool and Ajax are concerned. But as you saw there at the full-time whistle from Jurgen Klopp, it was important to have an improved performance. It was vital to get the win, and they did. All the reaction comes next. Welcome back on what was a very important result on a big night for Liverpool. The joy belonged to Mo Salah in the first half, just his second goal in his last 7 matches. The quality belonged to Mohamed Kudus, who got the equaliser for Ajax. And the winner belonged to that man, Joel Matip, who got the win for Liverpool. The relief belonged to Jurgen Klopp. Let's get some instant reaction now with Des Kelly.
Joel, what a finish. I mean, you were banging on the door there all day, and it came at the right time.
Yeah, I had a few opportunities before, and yeah, at the end, I was happy that I could score them.
Yeah, you had a couple of seconds just to double check, and then you celebrated.
Yeah, wasn't sure, to be honest, but when I saw the referee, then emotions came out.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised. Tell us when your last Champions League goal was. Do you remember?
No, not really, to be honest.
I'm going to give you 9 years ago.
That's a long time ago. Oh my God.
In the first half, Virgil, I mean, you were putting on the pressure, created more chances, took the lead with Mo's goal, and then we thought you'd go on from there.
We tried.
Yeah.
And they scored with the first very chance, I think. But you know, obviously coming back from the horror show in Naples, it was very important for us to show positive reaction. And it's not easy, you know. It's not easy to turn it around. But this is a step to the right direction, in my opinion. I think you know, during the game, I think great moments. And something to work on. It was very important to win today and get that good feeling going into the international break.
We could see the effort, we could see the motivation. You had a few chances yourself tonight.
I should have scored, but obviously we felt like we were dangerous in every set piece, especially the corners. So it was our responsibility to at least convert one, and luckily the one and only Joel Matip did it.
As you say, a step forward. I mean, there's a lot of medal winners in that dressing room. You guys know what to do to make this right.
Yeah, not listening to the outside world, that's the most important thing. It's funny sometimes, you know, because there's a lot of ex-football players and they know exactly what we go through, but, you know, they say a lot of things to try and get us down. We know exactly that last week was unacceptable. It was very bad, and we try to make it right, and this is what I said before. This is a step to the right direction. Don't get carried away, of course, because play so many games. Now it's time to focus on the national teams or get a well-deserved break for a little bit and then crack on for the rest of the...
Yeah, we can see the effort. Joel, you look exhausted, emotionally drained from the whole experience.
Yeah, it was a long and tough game. We tried it really over 90 minutes to create chances, and we were pushing forward, the whole team, starting, defending from the first second, and yeah, and then with a happy end for us, yeah.
Good result. The group looks a lot better as well, doesn't it?
It's a good step. Let's carry on.
Good. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much.
Well played, those men, and well played Liverpool this evening. There are the stats. It makes it absolutely crystal clear, the domination for them this evening. A lot of ex-players tried to talk us down. It's one of the things that I'm sure frustrates footballers is former players coming on the telly and talking about them. Did it used to annoy you?
If I thought it was wrong or I thought it was personal, then I'd get the ump. But if it was deserved, then I'd, you know, hold my hands up and say. And I think, listen, the performance in Naples, I think if they're honest, every single one of their players would go, you know what, it was a bad day at the office, and we deserved the criticism we got. But again, I think we reiterated on the night, we wasn't saying they were a bad team overnight. No one was saying they were bad players overnight. It was a bad performance.
OK, well, look, we know what they've done this evening. Let's explain to people at home how they did it, shall we?
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the first goal. A long pass, wasn't it, Rachel? Not a long ball.
Yeah,
I'm going to say a long
exactly.
pass.
Very accurate.
And I think if we look at the long ball from, or long pass from Alisson, we've got a situation whereby two defenders here, we'll tell you the cardinal sin is to almost cross as defenders, and that's what happens. And all of a sudden, you get Jota just peeling off into a gap here, and then when we pause it, all there is a knock-on effect.
Michael, can I just stop really quickly and ask why is the cardinal sin for defenders to cross like that?
Rio.
It just leads to confusion. I mean, if you take it back here, they're in really good positions in terms of being able to deal with this if they stay like this. If they start this and, say, for instance, the right-back is coming on his side of the pitch and he says, I'm going to go and win it, it's coming on my side of the pitch. Or even if he doesn't, even if he says no, he's not going to win it, the next guy, centre-half, one of them says, I'm going to win it. When that happens, right, and you say that, then one of you has to be the player that then sweeps here. Get round here and sweep and then provide cover in this area here. Watch what happens. There's zero cover in that area that I've just highlighted once there is confusion. Look, there you go. He gets the other side of him.
Yeah, and what it does is obviously it brings Bassi over from this position. He's got to then cover. Leaves Mo Salah in all this space. And from Mo Salah's point of view, listen, if this was me, I'd be taking a right foot touch here and I'd be shooting with my right foot. Mo Salah's, of course, a left-footed player coming in from the right-hand side. The good thing with this situation, he's got that much room that he can afford to bring it in onto his good foot, which he'll be just absolutely loving. Look at that. He can take a touch infield, which is very, very rare in that situation. So then he's coming in on his left foot and it makes it an easy-ish finish for a man of Mo Salah's quality.
Yeah, I'd be fuming as the goalkeeper, to be fair, with that right back and that right centre-half getting too close together. It leaves Bassi with a massive gap between them, and Daley Blint's not back covering. It just leaves gaps. And, you know, thankfully for Liverpool, they exploited them.
Yeah.
But then coming on to the retribution from Ajax getting back at them, it was a time when Trent Alexander-Arnold switched off. Look at the shape that they're in. Excellent shape. Happy with that. Back four, we've got for Liverpool. In front, solid, no gaps. Exactly what they didn't do against Napoli, in Naples, was to be compact and hard to play through. If we stop it here, Trent Alexander-Arnold on the right-hand side there has got eyes on player here, on Berghaus, on the player there. He knows exactly what he's going to do. He's in a good shape with the back line still, but just lets Berghaus just run as he runs on. He's got to match his run. You can see there's no pressure on the ball from Salah. And so, as we were talking about before the match, Alexander-Arnold has to drop in and match the runner.
And you said there he knows exactly what he's going to do. So why doesn't he run back with the player?
So you're right. We can see what's going to do. It's almost like he doesn't see the picture and doesn't recognise exactly what his role is defensively, or whether he's passing on that defensive role. I think I said before the game about his thought process were not sharp from a defensive point of view. And that was clear to see tonight as well.
I just want to ask both of you a question on that. My only theory, to answer your question, Jake, if we just take it back, do you think that Trent actually thinks he's blocking that pass and that he doesn't need to run, that there's no space to pass it? Maybe. I'm just trying to think why...
That's a gamble, though. That's the only thing is...
I mean, but a lot of the time, if you're in the right position, you think, well, the only one that's going to get me is over my head.
Yeah.
I'm actually blocking the channel here. Do you think he's actually thinking, well, there's no way they can pass it alongside? He's got to be thinking something.
Do you know what? The only thing I would say in protection of Trent here, right? If I'm playing here, I'm Trent's eyes and ears there. That's me there in that position. And I'm saying to Trent, anything to feet, you go and get it. And basically stay in that position. I don't mind you staying there because my thing will always, and it comes down to communication between the two players before the game. This area here, behind the fullback, was my area. I say to my right back, you go to the ball, go to the player, and if the ball goes over your head, that is me. And if I'm not there, you can shout at me. It's my fault. But are they having those conversations? Is that communication being had before or during the game to really say to? Because after this whole this finishes, I don't see Trent saying to Matip, "Where was you?" So maybe that conversation hasn't been had.
Can I just ask one other quick question? Once you get into this position here, and let's caveat this with the fact we know he's a phenomenally talented player, and in an Trent. And in an attacking capacity, we'll have a look later at just how great he was for Liverpool going forwards. But in this position here and a few other times this evening, what is the reason for the recovery run not being at the rate of the other players? How do we square that away?
Yeah.
Look at this here.
You're right, the intensity, I'm sure I've seen the stat, it was last season, he's the fastest player at Liverpool. And he's not showing that intent, that desire, that kind of... That,
saw it
it's
late
almost
there.
like get the green light to go forward and he's off, head down as fast as he can do. From a defensive point of view, it just doesn't seem to register with him as quickly as it should do. I can't imagine it's out of desire to do it. I just think that there's not quite that mental sharpness to do that same, to have that same role. But we were talking as well, all right, what is the makeup of a right back to Jurgen Klopp? Does he want him doing exactly those things, or is he measured more on his attacking prowess? Because we talked again, and he's been well documented tonight. Some of the great things that he can do. He great strike from 25 yards out, just whistled over the bar. His attacking, I don't think anyone doubts his attacking capabilities. I just think he would be better all round and more useful to the team if he could sharpen up on those decision making, because he's got the athleticism to do it. I think he's got the knowledge. He's a clever guy, but it's just having the application in key moments.
Okay. I mean, we can take it on to the winner, which we all felt was coming at times. But in this situation, from set pieces, I think aerial duels tonight, they won 73% of aerial duels, Liverpool. And in the box, they were so dominant. We were just sitting there going, but they haven't really hit the target for many of these set pieces yet. And Mo shouted earlier in the game, Matip will score tonight. And he came up with the winner. It was a great header in the end. Bassi doesn't do enough, I don't think, initially with the first challenge. Yeah, and they didn't really have any chance of winning the first contact in the box at any point of this game. And they got punished.
Bassi was the person. Actually, when you look at it, we just cue it again, Rio. When you look at the players, it's actually that they're all marking here. This is Fabinho's here with Blind, and then apart from that, you've basically got everybody paired up. And it's Bassi that, if you just watch it slowly, Bassi's actually keeping his eye on Matip. And eventually, he's just looking through the bodies. Eventually, he's the closest one to him. So it was his man, and he just, as Rio says, just simply doesn't do enough. He lets him get a run on him, and you can't do that when you're as tall as Matip and you let someone get a run on you. You're dead meat.
And balls in from corners were excellent, both from Tsimikas on that left-hand side, outswingers, and Trent Alexander-Arnold from the other side. There were at least 4 chances, almost 3 headers from centre-halves, Van Dijk and Matip.
Big
and
moment.
He made one count.
Gave them the win. It remains to be seen just what a vital win that may well be in the context of this season. But it's certainly a crucial one in the context of the Champions League. If they'd have lost tonight, they really would have been playing catch-up, but they're not. Jurgen Klopp was absolutely delighted at full-time. And as Rio said at the end of the game, it doesn't matter what you've achieved as a manager. When the pressure's on, the pressure's on. And tonight, the pressure was lifted somewhat. We'll hear from Jurgen after the break.
Timber beaten in the air by Diaz. Here's Diogo Jota. Mo Salah is in and scores! That's exactly what he needed and exactly what Liverpool needed. Here's Berghuis on the run. Pulls it back here to Bergwijn. Kudus takes over and equalises. Well, that's how dangerous they are. And just like that, Liverpool won, Ajax won. Tsimikas then with the outswinger from the Liverpool left. Van Dijk on the move in the middle. It's in towards Matip. It's headed off the line. Flank's gone up. It's a goal. How big a moment is that for Liverpool in this season's Champions League?
Job done tonight. Here's Jurgen Klopp talking to Des.
So, Jurgen, was that the response you wanted?
Yeah, I would say. I think everybody could see that we understood, that we know we had to put a completely different shift into the game. The boys did that, played a lot of good stuff against a really hard-fighting opponent, good opponent, scored the first goal, should have scored more goals from set pieces especially. I don't know how these balls didn't go in. Not sure it was the first attack, but a lot. Ajax didn't have a lot, so we defended.
It's their first shot on target, and they're only in the first half.
Okay, that's how it is in our situation. It can happen. It was an incredible strike from Kudus, we have to say, but in the last moment, it's difficult to defend it better, I think, but in the center, we were not 100% right. In midfield, I don't know, have to watch it back. But it's like another test, if you want, and everybody was hoping that it just goes in the right direction, and then you get the setback. And you could see the impact of that. The pressing before the goal was much better than after the goal, and we only talk about a yard or two in these moments. A little bit more intensity in the. If we press, we have to do it right. So half time 1-1, and then it was clear we have to go back to how we started and keep going, because it was very intense for Ajax as well. How we played and the pressure we put in, tried to change with a different system. And finally, one of the many set pieces we had led to the goal. Nice.
Would you have chosen Joel Matip as your goal scorer? I think his last Champions League goal was 9 years ago, so that's a collector's edition.
For Schalke then. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
it was.
Oh God. So that's anyway a goal to forget for me. Yeah. No, I'm not picky in that sense that I think he should. But it was a nice celebration and showed pretty much everything what the boys thought today. It's nothing is over, neither negative nor positive. It is a first step. It was a very important step for us. Now we have a strange break, pretty long, but and the players come only back Wednesday, Thursday for the game. But we have to hope and pray that they come back healthy, and that we can train with the others properly. And then Brighton is waiting.
There's still plenty to do. I mean, Joel scored tonight. Virgil had chances, but the Ajax goal, did they get in behind too easily?
I don't know. I have to watch it back. Well said. I saw that in the end you cannot avoid all balls in behind. But I thought we really dealt pretty well with that. If that in that situation not, that's what I said. But that will always happen in football. It always happened before. We just don't concede all the time. And Ali has to make a save. Then something went wrong beforehand. So I understand that we talk about all little details, but for us it's obviously not that important, because it's about conceding a chance, what always can happen, especially with the quality of the opponent, and getting back to how it should have been. And that's what we did, especially in the second half, and that's why I'm really happy with the performance.
Thanks, Jürgen. Well done.
Welcome.
You know what, I think the true story of tonight was Jürgen Klopp's reaction at full time. I think that told us plenty, didn't it? And actually, you look at the fixtures, they don't play again till the 1st of October. The last thing he would have wanted is to go into this period with the international break and no football on the back of a poor performance and a poor result. It's hard to say how important that is for Liverpool, because it feels like it could be significant.
Yeah, and I think also Liverpool, in my eyes, have always been best when they play twice a week.
Yeah.
You look at the start of this season, again, lots of injuries, lots of training ground injuries. It's very difficult to get that balance right when you're not playing twice. You know, if you're playing twice a week, it's very easy. You have your recovery days, you have your little sharp fizz again, and basically you're preparing for the next game. It's recovery, hardly anything, play, recovery, play. You can't really get injured on the training ground. Whereas in the lead up to where we are today, they've had a very stop-start season. Of course, lots of things have been going on, but it's one game a week in general, and there's been lots of problems with injuries. So I think when Liverpool get deep into the season, they're playing twice a week, that's when they come into their own. But today was certainly about the result. And I think the one word that you described tonight is relief. Liverpool got the 3 points, another step closer to being back to where they belong. They didn't play great today, but they were decent enough.
Thiago, big positive.
Absolutely. This team tonight needed to go out with a bit between their teeth, and they were led by him, ultimately, playing in that holding midfield role. And Jürgen Klopp said in his interview about being a yard closer to players compared to the game against Napoli, about having that intensity increased, and that's exactly what he does. He's always on the ball, available to receive the ball. He's very simple in what he does, but his positioning is excellent all around the pitch. Just ready, anticipating. You could see he takes a little step then to ensure that he can push off and power into the challenge there. Having that physicality, something again that they missed in the game against Napoli, and something they needed to have from the outset. He's got great feet as well, hasn't he? Does provide, an option for them. But he's that link between defence and the forward play. As technically excellent he is, I think everyone tonight can see exactly what they lack when he's not on the pitch.
I think he came on in against Napoli, and he was the only one who got any sort of like positive praise, not praise, but positive words from the manager in terms of his intensity, stepping onto the game and stepping onto opponents, and he took that into the game today. And I think that when the way Jurgen Klopp's team, we spoke about it, the way they play and when they're at their best is when they are against people, when they are in people's faces, and then when they win it in transition, play the ball forward, and he epitomised all of that today.
And Jurgen's quite right when he says to Des there, he says, look, it's never as bad as people think, it's never as good as people think. So it wasn't a total disaster after recent results, and it's not all perfect at Liverpool now. And actually, if you look at the fixtures that they've got coming up, I mean, they've got plenty of Champions League matches once October arrives, including Chelsea in the league, Brighton in the league, who are in great form. They've got Arsenal, they've got Manchester City, they've got some really big games coming up. So actually, October, November is going to tell us plenty about what this Liverpool team are going to bring this season, I think.
Yeah, and nothing's lost yet. I mean, Liverpool have had an average start to the season, but they're not out of any competition. You know, in Champions League now, after tonight's win, they're in a decent enough position again. In the league, you know, it's a you don't want to be giving Manchester City and the likes a head start, but nothing's over yet. So yes, it's been a poor start, but nothing that they can't recover. And I expect them to find their form. Listen, you know, they don't turn into a bad team overnight. We've watched them for years and years and eulogised over them, how good they are. They will be back. It's just a question of they need to get back before teams get away from them in the league.
And it's about building confidence. Tonight is starting that process of building the confidence back. They haven't played particularly well this season or consistently, but they've got a result when they needed it. And that's important. Character, personality, which we asked for at the beginning.
OK, just a quick reminder that we've got plenty more Champions League football coming your way tomorrow evening here on BT Sport. We've got all of these games lined up for you, including Celtic away from home, Man City, Chelsea also playing Rangers as well. So a very busy evening tomorrow evening on BT Sports, including Real Madrid in action as well. So that's what's coming your way tomorrow evening. Coming your way this evening, though, is Champions League tonight. You're on the early shift. You're heading home.
I am indeed, yeah. Do I not get to stay?
I'm afraid not, but next time you can hang out with us until 11:30 because we are live till 11:30 tonight, straight after the break. All the goals, all the talking points from tonight's football, followed by myself, Rio and Michael, but sadly not Rachel, on Champions League tonight. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.